there is only peace and joy. Nirban means peace and joy. You are getting rid of all the sufferings, all the pains in the life. This eightfold path, or Arya Ashtanga Marga. Marga means path, Ashtanga means eight, and this eight paths are known as the eightfold path, represented by a eight-spoked wheel, the wheel of Dhamma. You can see the picture in it. There are this eight-spoke wheel is there, and it starts with right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right concentration, and right mindfulness. This together makes the eightfold path. These are right views. You have to take right views which are described in the Four Noble Truths. Then the second one is the right intention. Whatever you are doing the right thing. You are not doing anything wrong. You have to follow this right intention. Every work, whatever you are doing, you should have a right intention for doing that work. Then right speech. You must speak in such a way that you don't hurt anybody. You speak the right thing to people, and it is known as right speech. Don't tell a lie. Don't tell anything which will hurt anybody. Then the right action. Whatever you do it rightly. The action should be right, and you are not doing anything wrong. Then whatever you are doing, your livelihood should be the right way of living. You are not doing anything which is not right. Right livelihood means you do not pick up a job in which you have to give sufferings to other people. You do not pick up a job, or you do not do something which will hurt everybody, and you do not do somebody any harm. This is right livelihood. Then comes right endeavor. Whatever you want to do, you should be very clear in your mind, and it must be in the right way. Then right mindfulness. Total concentration in the activity. Whatever you are doing, you must have concentration in that particular thing. Then right concentration. You meditate. You think about whatever you are doing. You concentrate rightly on that particular thing. So these all known as the eightfold path. The eightfold path is guided by the principles of middle way. It is not the extreme way. Middle way represents rejection of all the extreme of thoughts. You need not to be going to the jungle and meditating without taking any food, without doing any such work which are supposed to be done by you. It's an extreme thing. You don't do it. There should not be extreme emotion involved in it. There should not be extreme action involved in it, and the extreme lifestyle should not be there. Rather, the mortification of the body, or a life of indulgence in pleasure. You don't indulge in any pleasure. Buddha advocated a moderate way. Neither you should be extremely enjoying your life by the worldly things, nor you should punish yourself by extreme principles of meditation and concentration and all that. So you should follow the middle path. What you can do, it should be a balanced lifestyle, and the cultivation of mental and emotional equanimity through meditation and morality. You follow the moral things, you follow the ethical things, and don't do anything extreme. It should be a middle path. This is known as middle path. And next, when Buddha was there, he was preaching his things. He was telling the people, whosoever was coming to him, about these things. Now the question comes, what after Buddha? After Buddha's Nirvana. Nirvana is, as I said, which you cannot describe. It is, you are free from all the bondage, you are free from everything, and you are not coming again to experience the sufferings of life. Nirvana in Buddhism they say it cannot be related, you cannot express it in any language. Nirban is a Sanskrit word meaning to extinguish. In this case, it means to extinguish your ignorance, your hatred, and the earthly suffering, what you understand by Nirban in Buddhist terms. After Buddha's death, after Buddha's Nirban, his disciples gradually settled down into monasteries, which the lay followers, the married followers, they gave as donation to the monks, to the arahants. The laities were in turn taught about Buddha's teachings by these monks. They also engaged in such practices as visiting the Buddha's birthplace, worshipping of the tree under which Buddha got enlightenment, the Bodhi tree, Buddha images, temples where they keep Buddha images, and the relics of his body enshrined either in the stupas or in the funeral mounds. So, these monks, after Buddha's death, after Buddha's Nirvana, started staying in the monasteries. Monasteries were constructed by the donation given to the followers of Buddhism for the monks to shelter there. Many monastic schools were followed after Buddha's demise. After Buddha's death, there is no one person, there is not a single person to guide them. There are monks, there are samanas which are very close to Buddha, and this is partly because, why? Because we see that if somebody goes away, he puts a successor to take the movement further. He gives the charge to somebody to take it further. But Buddha himself said that he never preferred a successor. He said that the practical teaching has been given to everybody. Buddha refused to give an unequivocal answer about whether human have a soul, whether the human have a atma or a soul or not. What is said next? Another reason is given for the development of different schools was that he refused to appoint a successor. He never wanted a successor to follow him as the leader of the Sangha. Sangha means the monastic order. He told the monks to be the lamps unto themselves and to make Dhamma as their guide. He advised the monks to become the lamps, and the lamps will give the light, and that light of Dhamma will be given to you, and you spread the light all over. I don't want to put anybody as my successor. Buddhism's individual outlook and disregard for the caste system, because in the beginning of my lecture I told you that the society was divided into different castes, and each caste was thinking superior to themselves, and the Brahmanas wanted to become the superior, then come the Kshatriyas. But since Buddhism did not care about the caste system, the lower caste people also were attracted towards it. Buddhism suggested the individual people might be able to attain enlightenment. Everybody can attain enlightenment in this life, and held that caste was not a punishment for the deeds committed in the past life. It is nothing to do with the past life. The story of Nidhi, an example I am giving you here, which example has been given by the master, Venerable Hing Yun, in one of his schools in Fokongshan, and he has given a story. I'll be elaborating that. But what happened before that? Let us know why even the lower class people got attracted towards Buddhism because there was no class distinction. Buddhism suggested that individual people might be able to attain enlightenment in this life, and the caste is not a barrier to attain enlightenment. Digha Nikaya, a Pali text, Buddhist text, narrates an incident when eating a meal at the house of one of his devotees named Chunda, Buddha became seriously ill, and it was clear that the end was near. That the followers of Buddha will blame Chunda and punish Chunda wanted to tell, it is to your merit, Chunda, that I am going to final Nirvana after taking the last meal from somebody who is meritorious. The first one is the one after eating which I attain the supreme enlightenment, and the other after which I gain Nirvana without remainder. He is telling that he got the Nirvana when he got the enlightenment, and now he get Parinirvana, the ultimate freeing from the suffering after eating a meal over there. Now Buddha, the story I was trying to refer to you was, Buddha was one day going to some place with his disciple Ananda, his very close disciple, and when he was going, he found a person whose name was Nidhi. He was trying to avoid Buddha because he is from the lower class. Then Buddha himself went to him and told that your caste has nothing to do in you coming to me. That was the kindness of Buddha. And this Nidhi again became the follower of Buddha, and this story was told by, presented by Venerable Master Hing Yun.